Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 9:23 a.m. on the 24th of August 2024, but I'm playing catch up because I didn't make my daily video yesterday because I was busy getting a new windscreen put on my car at O'Brien's at Wakerley, and then I went on to visit my beautiful friend Lynn, and she surprised me by taking me, down to Cleveland Point, and we had a lovely afternoon and evening. And I got home quite late at night, and by then I was exhausted and a bit shaky and dizzy and weak, so I went straight to bed. But I had a lovely day yesterday, in spite of all the stress about my car. But Ezrat Hashem, by the will of God, all of that is over now. I mean, apart from having to continuously pay rego and insurance and throw petrol at it, Hopefully that is all those tribulations are over for a good few months, because my nervous system is stretched to a very, very thin piano wire taut, almost brittle degree. But I'm all right. I've fought through all the evil that happened in the last couple of months. So I've fought through like a prize fighting champion in one incident, quite literally, but never mind. So Mama T's surfing her usual flotsam jetsam existence. So you know what that means. Sooner or later, babies, I'm going to be smooth sailing, rolling on the beautiful, gentle waves, perhaps even at Byron Bay, having a nice swim, figuratively and literally speaking. And things are going to be quite wonderful, I think. I don't know why I was beset with all these awfulness, but the gods like to tweak me every now and then, just to make sure that I think they just like to, test my character a bit. Anyway, I don't know whether I passed or failed in the eyes of the gods, but I've fought my way through. So I'm hoping that's it for now, for a while, for a long, long, long while. But anyway, so I'm carrying on with yesterday's reading, 23rd of August 2024. And yesterday's reading title was and is and shall ever be, because you can't change it, because you can't change the titles and the subtitle and on Vocal Media, which is kind of insane, to be honest. That's why it still says 2023, even though we're in 2024. I know, Mama T being pedantic. But anyway, it's titled Post-Traumatic Growth. I'm struggling at the moment because it also won't let me, add my updates to my journaling each day, and it won't let me save it, and waiting for them to fix that issue. Oh, these little things. But look, they get fixed. They're not a grand worry, because they do get fixed. I ask them politely and something usually gets done. But anyway, and if it's a problem on my account, it'll be a problem on thousands of other accounts too. So, one has to exercise patience and sanguinity. And they're usually pretty good. So I give them a fair bit of leeway, before I get irritated. Right, here we have a photo. This was an astonishing and kind of a beautiful moment. Oh, about to lose my little stand. This was an amazing moment back in, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2018. It'll come up in the readings. But I went to visit my friend Lynn years ago. Can't remember exactly what year. And my friend Lynn's neighbour Carl just turned to me and said, hold this for a minute, will you? And I didn't see what he had in his hand, and he just deposited this little bugger into my hand. It's a baby diamond python. Can you see it? Let's make sure you can see it. Anyway, I had never held a baby snake before. I had once held a snake at Australia. Look at the look of love in my eyes and delight. I was astonished because I thought, you know, if someone put a snake in my hand, that I'd be horrified and would scream. Am I right? No. Instead, that little baby snake and I fell in love. You know, not a sexual weird way, people don't misinterpret, but fell in big agape love with each other. Oh, it was gorgeous. It was so gorgeous. And it was like, you know, climbing's probably not the word, slithering in between my fingers, and it would stop and it would look at me with its little tiny serpent eyes. And it's true that snakes mesmerize you with their eyes. He was like, and I was like, ah, and it's really high vibration, like felt high. Oh, it was a beautiful moment. And then my friend's neighbour Carl said, would you like to take it home and keep it as a pet? I think he was quite serious too. I said, oh no, Carl. He said, why not? I said, well, I'm in love with this little creature, but this little creature won't stay a baby for long, and it'll grow up, and I'll have to feed it dead frozen rats and mice. And I don't like the idea of that. And, you know, cleaning its cage, and it'll be a big mofo snake one day because it's kind of a python. And he laughed. He went, are you sure? Because it looks like you two are in love. And I went, well, I am a snake in Chinese astrology, so I guess we recognise each other's spirit. But however, let's not get too crazy with it. And he laughed too. Anyway, it was amazing. I have never had, up until that moment, had never imagined in my wildest dreams that I could ever or would ever fall in love with a snake. But here's the thing, after that encounter with that little baby snake, I realised snakes are by and large very nice people. You know, if you leave them alone and don't try to hurt them or stomp on them or give them a god-awful fright in the bush. You know, if you just let them go on with their snaky business, and they're quite happy to leave us alone. So when I had that carpet python a couple of months ago in my bathroom, I did freak out because it was an enormous python, and I thought it was climbing down the bathroom wall, but no, it was going back down the hole that it come back out of. I just sort of kind of said, you're very beautiful, but you can't be in here. And it's almost like I'd understood it. I probably heard, you know, the kind of tinge of fear and hysteria in my voice because I was a little bit frightened that it might lunge at me. It just left immediately and went back to wherever it came from. So you see, if you're reasonable with other entities, by and large, they're reasonable with you. Except maybe not crocodiles, okay? Don't ever smile at a crocodile. Just saying. They are not your friends in any known universes. You'll just pray to them. But anyway, that's a distinction. I just wanted to, you know, factor in. It's the same as psychopaths. Don't smile at them. Don't have relationships with them. Certainly don't make love with them, because if you do, you're buying into a whole world of pain. But the trouble is, you never really realise it in the beginning that they're a psychopath, because they're very good at masking. That's why they're a psychopath. So, where am I going with this? Stay weird, stay happy, smile and back your way to the wall with certain entities, or completely avoid with others. Just so. Anyway, it's a beautiful day today. It was a beautiful day yesterday too. And in spite of my struggles with, demonic type influences that I've had to slough the fuck off or fight through one day at a time, parking fines. I still received yet another letter from the Brisbane City Council. They keep slamming me with letters, like they've got nothing better to do. Same repetitive bullshit. Even though I've started paying off the fine, I'm getting a bit sick of that too. It's kind of feeling like harassment now. But anyway, it was just another one to say that they've withdrawn the second fine, which was completely bogus, and I was prepared to go to court over that one. It was so bogus. So they have withdrawn that, but anyway, I'm still waiting for the confirmation from them. Oh, well, actually, no. That confirmation will come from a different government department called Spurs. So I'm still waiting to hear from Spurs to how much my instalments will be and how frequent and blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. And anyway, that was a stressor beyond. And I still don't think that initial fine was right either, because I had the wrong street. But I just got triggered and couldn't be bothered fighting. $322 worth of triggering, by the way. They've had a lot of fun at my expense. Anyway, meanwhile, we fought our way through that. I fought my way through getting a new windscreen yesterday. That was also a bit weird. Disparities in quotes and wanting to charge me more, and me holding my ground and getting more and more freaked out by the moment. But they were lovely men, and they did the right thing by me. Baruch Hashem, blessed be God, they did the right thing by me. So there was that. And what else have I fought through? There were other things. Anyway, it's all dealt with and it's in the past. So Mama T will be surfing. What was the other? It was an expense, another added expense. Optus, that's a war that's still going at the moment, by the gods. Anyway, so my nervous system, as I said, is as brittle as piano wire and about to go kaplunk, but I'm holding it together, people of Earth. Haven't done 25 years of therapy for nothing. Wouldn't it be nice if I had a loving partner that could just, give me a cuddle and say, it's all going to be all right, Tanya. Everything's fine. I love you no matter what. Oh, Mama T, I'm so silly sometimes. But, what can I say? I'm only human too. Anyway, we'll carry on. I'm grateful for all the beautiful support from my friends, of course, as always. Always, always, always and forever. Lynn knew I was very stressed. She said, when you get very stressed, your voice gets a very high pitch. I hadn't realised that. It's a bit astonishing. So she took me to the sea, because she knows the sea calms my soul down and settles me down somewhat. And I do feel better for it, to be honest. It was glorious. It was absolutely glorious. So here's a photo I posted on my vocal media. I actually took, more than 2 photos, but I don't like to inundate my journal with too many photos. But anyway, let me show you. Oh, what's going on here? Dear Goddess. Here is my beautiful friend Lynn and I at Cleveland Point, enjoying the afternoon sunshine. And here's a beautiful sunset, which is just glorious. And I also took a photo of a beautiful blue-faced honey eater. And while we were sitting observing the sunset, a gentleman walked past and stopped to chat to us. His initial gambit to start the conversation was rather unusual. He said, have you seen the moon rise yet? And I said, no, I have not. He said, look behind you, which was a bit of a trickster thing, because I looked behind me, there was no moon. I said, there's no moon. He went, oh, I wonder what time it rises. I said, I'll Google it. He said, I'll continue with my walk, and when I come back, you can tell me what time. This man's up to no good. Mind you, Lynn and I are sitting there together, it was kind of cute. So when he came back, I said, it doesn't rise until 9:19 p.m. this evening. My lipstick's going on a journey of its own. And then he proceeded to tell us that he's a Christian and he blesses us, and so I'm getting, the ick factor. And then he proceeds to tell me to stay in the light. I said, you're the second person to tell me that in recent weeks. I find it quite offensive. He said, oh, really? Why? And I said, I'm a shaman, and I've integrated my dark and my light. And I said, I am of the light, but I've also integrated my darkness. And I said, people who tell me to stay in the light, it's kind of insulting because you have no idea of my journey and my spirit or whom I am in this moment on planet Earth. He just smiled politely, And I said, a shaman has to go down into the darkness and, come up, back up into the light, clutching, healing or words of wisdom or paradigmical shifts in our fist kind of thing. And I said, you can't do that unless you have that walk. So I said, it might not resonate with you being a Christian, but that's my path. And he looked at me and he just went, oh, I get it. Astonishing. And he said to me, or to Lynn and I, he said, oh, it's like Amazing Grace. And I nodded. He said, saved a wretch like me. And I just stared at him because I was waiting for his punchline, He said, I'm the wretch. And I just smiled and nodded. I said, well, we all are, darling. We all are as humans. Anyway, it was a very quirky and unusual interaction. And then Lynn, as he was about to depart, my beautiful friend Lynn said her standard, travel well wherever you go. He turned around and said, what is that? What do you mean by that? And I said, oh, it's my friend's stock standard, word of goodbye, wishing you to be safe on your journey through life. Oh, he said, so it's a blessing. And I said, yes, it is indeed a blessing of the highest order, wishing you safe travels on your journey through life. Oh, he said, well, then I need to bless you both too. And I'm just like, please don't, please. But anyway, I accepted his blessing with grace because I'm a shaman and a Jew and a witch and a psychedelic dreamer and a Viking. Let's not forget that part of my personality as well. And I said, okay, I will strive to stay in the light, but I don't want to become too wishy-washy. And he laughed, and off he went on his way. Very sweet soul. He said he works for an after-hours doctor. So I was immediately enraged because whenever I've needed an after-hours doctor, they never accept my phone calls and leave me hanging and thinking I'm about to die. So I kind of hate them, and I've written them off of even bothering to ever call them anymore. And it was comical because then he proceeded to say, I'm the one that takes the calls. And I'm looking at him like, you're the one that I should be murdering right now because you've left me out to die many, many times. Of course, I didn't say that because I was staying in the light and all. And I'm looking at him like this. And he said, oh, yes. And he says, and when I arrive, the patients always assume that I'm the doctor because I'm the driver of the doctor, but they see me first because I do that. He does the, filling up of forms or signing them off or whatever before the doctor comes in. And I'm like taking all this in. And I said, oh, yes. He says, so I get to take all the kudos as if I were the doctor. And I'm like, that's not kind of cool, dude. I didn't say that because I'm staying in the light, am I right? And then he says, and then the doctor comes and they're all so happy And he says, I was a pastor in a previous life in service to Jesus, you know, looking after the flock, a shepherd. And I'm like, oh dear goddess, oh dear goddess. And then he says, but now, he said, I'm in service because I, in the example of Jesus, look after the sick, which he drives doctors to administer to the sick. But it's kind of the same thing. I'll let him have that, you know. So I just nodded and I said, it's so lovely to be in service, to look after the sick, because someone has to do it. And he said, oh yes, indeed. And he was so happy. And so I sent him on his way, feeling like he was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. But it was a very odd conversation, especially when, yes, he's someone that has historically let me down in my emergency times of need, which has often happened in my walk too. Lifeline. Here's looking at you, lifeline, after doctors. But anyway, my friend Lynn is so much more loving, and she's more light than I am, put it. So she said, oh, how wonderful that you're you're an after hours doctor and drive for the after hours. How wonderful are you? And she really praised him. He was like, and I'm like, when he left, I said, Lynn, I need a shower. She was like, me too. Not because he was a Christian, but because there was something kind of odd about him saying, I get all the kudos as if I'm a real doctor. No, to get that kind of kudos, go and study, become a doctor in your own right. Don't take credit for someone else's years and years of learning and hard work and study, by the way. Although a lot of doctors these days are pretty freaking idiotic in my opinion, but let's not take that away from the years and years and years of study and hard work they have done. Some of them have probably just cracked up, probably from years of stress or the influences of this, just saying. But there are good doctors because I have them in my life. So, and yes, because I was raised around academics, I find it's kind of like fingers down a chalkboard when someone says, I take kudos for that, you know, those credentials. It's like, no, that is charlatanry of the highest order. And it just sends me like, you know. Anyway, she, who has no credentials, because I was harassed out of university as a very young girl actually by rape threats, and so I'm bitter about it, but I'm too old and too exhausted to go back to university now. Tries very hard to protect the it is kind of an ivory tower syndrome when you idealise academia and you keep them in this sort of idealised pedestal, because like anyone else, they're just more intelligent humans that worked hard to achieve. You know, some of them turn out to be arseholes too, just saying. The recent 4 years, just saying. But, however, you know, it's not nice to take credit for other people's work. That's the point of my whole going round in circles there. So, yes. So we continue on with the 23rd of August, 2023. Oh, no, wait. I want to say one more thing about yesterday. So I'm in the waiting room at O'Brien's, you know, waiting 1.5 hours for my windscreen to be replaced, which wasn't a problem because I take a book and I always look at my iPhone anyway, and my YouTube videos and other people's YouTube videos and Facebook. I can go, you know, I can spend hours entertaining myself with social media and the internet. I practically live on it. So there is that. So I wasn't fazed, is what I'm saying. At one point, I even read the wonderful book I bought from Deborah Starr called Escape to Woodshine. I'm plugging her book. It's actually beautifully written. Well done, Deborah. I'm still wading through because I spend so much time doing other things. I don't read like I used to read avidly when I was younger. So anyway, I'm sitting there and this gentleman in his early 40s comes in his work uniform, a customer waiting for his car to be done. And he sits at the opposite end of the couch, which wasn't too close to me because it was a fairly long couch, so I didn't have an issue with that, you know. And I handed him the TV remote and I said, you might want to watch TV. And he said, oh no, I'll watch movies on my laptop. But I was just trying to make him feel comfortable because a strange woman and a strange man in a lone room in an office, waiting rooms, kind of felt kind of alienating and weird. So anyway, so we had that brief interchange, and he proceeds to watch his tablet and whatever movie or whatever thing he was watching, which I couldn't hear because he had, you know, earbuds in, I presume. But he starts grunting. I hope it wasn't porn he was watching. It crossed my mind, you know. So, you know, young and reasonably good looking, although I didn't really take too much notice because I'm immersed in my own separate bubble, right? But I hear this, ugh, and then a bit later, ugh, and I wanted to burst out laughing. Gladly I didn't, but it was just so fucking weird. And I was like, I'm not used to being around men alone in a room, and there's a kind of an intimacy in listening to a man grunt like that. And I was like, oh, is he conscious that he's grunting like that? And I was like, oh my goddess. So of course I'm rising above it and ignoring it. But when the technician came out and yelled out my name to come and get my car, I must say I was like, oh, thank you, goddess, for removing me from this very awkward situation. So I'm not used to being around males, strange males, grunting. Felt like marriage, actually. Felt like my marriage. I was like, this is why I'm single. This is why I'm single. Oh, dear goddess. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because I actually found it very amusing. I was like, oh, how sweet. He feels comfortable to grunt next to a strange woman who offered him a TV remote. Anyway, I don't know why, but I found that hilarious. I guess other women that watch my YouTube video might get it, but the men will be like, what? Why did that bother her? Anyway, it was kind of odd. Anyway, we all have our little idiosyncrasies and our little habits. So, you know, it's part of the human condition. 23rd of August 2023, like my lipstick that flies off my face, dear goddess. 2023. It's a glorious day. I have a debrief with my psychiatrist this afternoon. Then I booked to go to a poetry reading at 6 p.m, something I've never done before, so I was very anxious. I'm always anxious before I do new things or go to new venues or meet new people because I'm used to being alone all the time, even sitting in a waiting room, and I know Brian's windscreen replacement was fraught, you know. Anyway, it randomly came up on my Facebook, the poetry reading. So I decided rather spontaneously to go along. It might be interesting. Then I shared a article by heartuk.substack.com. Ethical boundaries in medical decision making can be blurred by circumstances. And they did a very clever, I really liked that actually because I'm an artist, origami figure of, you know, I think it's meant to represent death coming for you. I thought that was very clever. And so I replied to the article after having read it, of course. Can't remember what was the actual subject of it, but if you want to find it, I've given you the title. It was a very good article. Oh, my nails are all breaking. Oh, that's nice. This is why I never wear nail varnish, because my nails always peel and break, and it's bloody annoying. They don't look too shabby at the moment, but they're not great either. Anyway, love me, love my weird quirks. But anyway, I commented on that article, the bone pointing and obfuscation of basic medical care, withholding of antibiotics in the case of my serious bronchitis last year, which was in 2022, prior to posting this article, certainly did feel like a medical inversion, and verily, verily, like an alien invasion, when all normal medical practice was altered out of a thing called fear. Just saying. Then I posted this. I couldn't resist, lol. It was just not normal coffee leaves, but it was like the froth from a cappuccino. But I was still seeing quite a few images, even in the froth, which I found rather fascinating and bemusing. So